Welcome to the Pulaski County Tourism Bureau's audio tour of Pulaski County Route 66. I am your guide, Terry Primus. This audio tour is intended only for tourists exploring Route 66 on their own, in or on their own vehicles. This is not intended for a tour bus, as there are places visited where a bus cannot go and cannot turn around. To begin the tour, take exit 169 on Interstate 44 and then go south on Highway J 1/10 of a mile to Highway Z and turn west or right. Stop at the 35-mile-per-hour curve sign almost immediately after turning on Highway Z. The shoulder's a little wider there. Reset your odometer to 0.0. Welcome to Pulaski County, or almost Pulaski County. The county line is a couple of hundred yards ahead. This tour section will cover a bit more than 15 miles of Route 66 in eastern Pulaski County, from here to the park at Ruby Dew Spring in downtown Waynesville. Counting this one, we will make 15 informational stops where I will tell you some history of the adjacent roadside. A link to vintage images of the sites is on the Pulaski County Tourism Bureau's website. Route 66 was commissioned as a federal highway in 1926. It wasn't a newly constructed highway, but a collection of pre-existing roads linked together from Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monica, California, for a length of more than 2,400 miles. Missouri's State Highway 14, which ran through Pulaski County, became Route 66. The 33 miles in Pulaski County boasts some great old and what we call new pavement from several alignments of Route 66. This area of the original road, from just the other side of the overpass to a little community 2 miles west called Hooker, was dubbed Basketville and shown on tourist maps as a basket-making area. The area became widely known for the local handicraft of white oak basket making, as well as stools and chairs. William F. Childers apparently started the cottage industry along the road. Mr. Childers was living in Cabool, Missouri, in southern Texas County, when he heard of the new road to the north. Things were already depressed in the Ozarks even before the Depression, but the road held out promise of more tourist customers for Mr. Childers' specialty. The family came north to western Phelps County in, I kid you not, a covered wagon. William F. and his son, Henry Jasper, established their Artful Woodworks craft shop, a log building, proclaiming the crafts were made by Ozark hillbillies, an almost irresistible come-on to the beginning stream of city tourists. The Childers were joined and followed by other local artisans such as George Miller and Clarence and Raymond Wells. Roadside stands hugged the shoulder, offering their baskets, straight-back chairs, and footstools. We are going to proceed west on this blacktop stretch and, for a short distance, will travel the 1942 divided 4-lane before turning onto what most tourists speed on by, the original 1926 gravel Route 66. Drive your vehicle until .9 shows on the odometer and turn onto Trout Lane. It will be the second turn on your right, the first being an uphill driveway, so don't turn in there. Turn onto the gravel road at .9 miles, stop under the first tree, and turn me on again. Stop 2.9 miles. In 1926, the 306-mile Missouri stretch from St. Louis to Joplin was a mixture of graded earth and gravel, with only about 30 miles or less of concrete pavement on its St. Louis end. This is what the first travelers on the main street of America saw in Pulaski County: a gravel road maybe 16 feet wide, with a dolomite bluff on one side and, you might have to look closely through the vegetation, Hooker Creek on the left side, which, by the way, can really get to ripping in a frog-strangling rain and come up and cover the road. In 1926, it still must have been close passing from opposite directions for two Model Ts. You'd have to be careful not to hit the side mirrors and bust them off. In that year, a Ford Model T cost $400, and gas cost 10 cents a gallon. But remember, here in the Ozarks, 10 cents was also the prevailing hourly wage in 1926. Turn me off and travel to mile 1.1. Stop 3, 1.1 miles. We have passed two small residences and now are opposite a small blue-sided cabin. This flat ground on the north side of the road was the site of the first tourist camp on this stretch of the road. It was named Springvale, and not much is left now. Only a little stonework, and no picture survives that we know of. Charlotte Sheldon Smith, born on a farm near here, described Springvale as locally quite famous for its dance hall and 4 cabins. They were 2 and 3 rooms that were much in demand during World War II. There was a drilled well with a hand pump, several tall walnut trees, and lots of nice grass with plenty of room for camping. There were 2 little houses way back. One had a moon cut out on the door. The other had a sun cut out on it. We paused here, and I thought I'd give you a chance just to imagine that scene and that first resort on this part of the road. That blue-sided cabin, little building there, is one of the surviving structures. We are now going to go to stop 3 at mile 1.4. Stay on the gravel, even though you will come within a few feet of the 1942 concrete pavement. Stay on the gravel, and you will angle away from the pavement and stop at 1.4 miles between a white house with a brown metal roof with 2 storage buildings close to the road and a gray house with a white and red trim mobile home in front of it. Stop at the big vacant lot between those 2 residences. Turn me off now. Stop 4, mile 1.4. At this spot were 2 roadside stores, side by side. Just a bit behind us, on the ground held by the native stone retaining wall from the 1930s, was Charlie Ray's store and resort. Ray's had a 3-room building with a store in the middle room. The east end was a bedroom and the west end was the kitchen. The souvenir shop was a separate building, octagonal shape, with a large overhang. There were also 3 nice cabins and a camping area. Charlie Ray also operated a city service filling station and garage with a dugout car service pit. It was also a free-range chicken area, too, which may or may not have delighted the city folks. Just west, where the gray house and white trailer with red trim, to over near the group of cedars, that was the location of Gann's gift shop. The rather small, steep roof building's walls lifted up to display pottery and baskets. Large signs advertising stools and chairs for 50 cents in the late 30s brought urban customers even during the Depression years. Business didn't fall off much here in the Ozarks on the road for the handicrafts. Along the roadside, additional block and board racks displayed more pottery, with baskets hanging from arbor-like constructions. The two businesses were right next to each other, and the local story is that Charlie Ray erected a wooden wall, kind of like a billboard, but with no advertising on it, between his place and Gann's, so that when you came down the narrow road, you couldn't see Gann's gift shop. Of course, that would only work if the customer was coming from the east. If he was coming from the west, he wouldn't be able to see Ray's place. But I guess that most of the traffic was westbound from St. Louis, and Charlie figured it would pay off. Caused a little bad blood, though. We are now going to go on for a short distance of 0.2 of a mile to a stop sign at the edge of the 4-lane. We will be across from a rather new-looking log-sided structure, well, actually 2 structures. I'll tell you about that site later. Go on to the 4-lane concrete for a very short distance and turn right back onto the gravel before the canoe rental sign that's painted on a canoe. You will be on Trophy Lane. Turn me off and follow those directions to mile 1.8 on your odometer. You'll be opposite a neat white-sided house with a stone foundation and a 2-story stone chimney. I'll be waiting there for you. Stop 5, mile 1.8. I have heard several stories about the house on the right, that it was a roadhouse during the late 30s and early 40s, and a rather bawdy roadhouse at that. However, the storyteller usually has a disclaimer of, somebody told me that, you know, a second or third hand account, so I can't say for sure. Can't get anybody or find anybody who admits to any first-hand knowledge of any of the goings-on. Now, start up, and we're going to travel on west to 1.9 miles, just 1/10 of a mile down the road. And just go ahead and leave me on. Notice that Hooker Creek is back on our left. In fact, it's a little bigger creek now. Coming up on our left is a very nice native stone building. Small, but an excellent example of Ozark stone architecture. Creep on by the driveway. The front of the house is pretty much hidden by a hedge in the summer. Pull a little past the house and past the hedge, across from a grape arbor built on an old foundation, so that you can see the native stone house over your left shoulder. This is the house of probably the most famous basket maker in Pulaski County at the time, Clarence Wells. Clarence and his wife Ruth made baskets, and their workshop was this yard right in front of us, well, to our left. They would be weaving baskets as customers from the city came along, looking for that hillbilly souvenir and that goodbye. The story in the family is that no one had a pattern for any particular basket. They could just feel how a basket should be made. But it seems that Clarence and Ruth made 38 styles of baskets. When a towel company contacted Clarence about making 3,000 small baskets with no handles, he was up to the task, but needed some help. Wife Ruth and brother Raymond and his wife Alice, who were also basket makers, helped Clarence with one of the biggest basket orders he ever had. The baskets were to go to the 1939 World's Fair in New York. The towel company put 2 washcloths in each basket, and they were sold as souvenirs at the fair. The weavers got 10 cents for each basket. Proceed now another 1/10 of a mile, and you will see a well-maintained school and church building at the entrance to the Hooker Cemetery. Pull into the cemetery parking lot on the right. We'll pause there a few minutes.